So, Herman Hulst has been sidelined by Sony. This is the bombshell news of the moment. The co-president of PlayStation, who shared the role with Hideaki Nishino, has effectively been stripped of his position just a few months after taking the job. For those who might not be familiar with him, Hulst is one of the co-founders of Guerrilla Games, the creative force behind Horizon, the man who spearheaded the acquisition of the development team behind Concord and one of the key pillars of PlayStation. But here's the twist. He hasn't been fired outright. Instead, he's been pushed into the background, effectively demoted. And the reason is crystal clear. Hulst is being responsible, some would say chiefly responsible, for the catastrophic failure of Concord, the live service title that burned a staggering $400 million hole in Sony's finance. $400 million. And that's not just a misstep. It's a financial black hole that has left a deep and lasting scar on the company. And while until now there had been no real consequences for Hulst, the situation has finally reached a tipping point. Sony has decided to act. Now let's rewind for a moment. Until recently, the PlayStation brand was led by two co-directors, Hideaki Nishino and, of course, Herman Hulst. They were more or less equals, but their responsibilities were divided. On paper, it was a balanced approach, with each leader bringing their own expertise to the table. But then came the Concord disaster and everything changed. Hulst was demoted, effectively pushed into the background, while Nishino gained more power and is now the sole director of PlayStation. It's a move that will undoubtedly spark debate, but according to many, it was a necessary one. Actually, this doesn't seem like just a punishment for Hulst. This is more like a strategic move. Sony is in the midst of a major reorganization, and part of that involves returning to its Japanese roots. Hulst, with its Western background and vision, represented a certain direction for the company, one that, in the wake of Concord's failure, seems to have fallen out of favor. Nishino, on the other hand, embodies a return to tradition. He is a veteran of Sony with over 25 years of experience, and his leadership style is deeply rooted in the company's Japanese heritage. Now, this doesn't mean, obviously, that Sony is going to revert to exactly how it was in the past, but it does suggest a shift in focus, a desire to regain control and reorient the company towards the Asian market. And for Sony, this could be a very good thing. But let's dig a little bit deeper into Hulst's situation. Why was he demoted instead of fired? After all, 400 million is no small sum, and the failure of Concord is a massive blow to Sony's reputation. The answer lies probably in the optics. Hulst had only recently been promoted to co-president of PlayStation, and firing him so soon would have been a public relations nightmare. It would have sent a message of instability, of a company in chaos, so instead Sony opted for a softer approach, demotion. By pushing Hulst into the background, they have effectively punished him without making it look like a knee-jerk reaction. It's a calculated move, one designed to maintain an appearance of stability while still addressing the problem. So, while Hulst is losing power, Nishino is gaining it. But who is this Nishino guy, really? Well, he's a long-time Sony executive with a background in technical and infrastructural roles. He's not a game designer nor a creative visionary. He's more like a technocrat, someone who understands the nuts and bolts of running a platform like PlayStation. This is a stark contrast to Hulst, who comes from a creative background and has a proven track record in game development. The question now is, what does this mean for PlayStation's future? Will Nishino's leadership bring about a change in direction, or will he simply continue down the path that Hulst helped pave? Unfortunately, the answer is likely the latter. Sony's overall strategy has not changed. The focus is still on expanding into live services, investing in cloud gaming, and pushing the PlayStation Plus subscription model. And of course, there's the PS5, which remains the centerpiece of Sony's gaming division. Nishino isn't there to revolutionize the company. He's there to consolidate the existing leadership and keep things running smoothly. In other words, don't expect any major shifts in direction anytime soon. Just let's not forget the bigger picture here. Hulst's demotion isn't just about Concord or even about Sony's internal politics. It's about the company's identity. Sony is at a crossroads, trying to balance its global ambition with its Japanese roots. Hulst represented the global, Western-facing side of the company, while Nishino embodies a return to its Japanese heritage. The shift in leadership could signal a broader change in strategy, one that prioritizes the Asian market and reconnects Sony with its origins, especially if we consider how fast the Chinese market is growing. At the end of the day, we have to read Hulst's demotion as a sort of statement from Sony, a signal that the company is re-evaluating its priorities, but mostly a signal for the investors. Of course, it's never about who's in charge and always about the games. Sony just needs to remember that.